Epcot has earned its reputation as Disney World's best food park, and it's earned that honestly. World-class bakeries tucked into pavilion corners, festival booths, people build entire park days around, snacks worth planning a trip for, the kind you tell your friends about before you've even boarded the flight home. Most of the time, that reputation is deserved, but not everything here lives up to the price tag on the menu board. Some items survive purely on pavilion theming, decades-old reputation, or the kind of Instagram appeal that photographs beautifully and eats poorly the second it's in front of you. They keep reappearing on menus, some for years running, some at every single festival without fail, despite the same complaints following them around. How many of these have you ordered on reputation alone, without stopping to check whether the price matched what landed on your plate? This is the skip list, 12 Epcot foods that consistently disappoint relative to what they cost. Know what to avoid, and you'll walk into the park with more budget left over for the things that actually deliver. Number 12, the white peach paste bun sold at Mitsukoshi department store in the Japan Pavilion. At $4.49, it promises delicate Japanese confection, the kind of subtle, refined flavor the pavilion has built its entire reputation on. White peach is a genuinely prized flavor in Japanese sweets, the sort of thing that shows up in premium products back in Japan, so the name alone does a lot of the selling here. What you actually get is a pre-packaged snack with an artificial tasting jelly-like filling wrapped in a bun that's noticeably thinner than the comparable options sitting right next to it on the same shelf. The Japan Pavilion setting creates a kind of authenticity halo around everything inside it. Guests assume that if Mitsukoshi is stocking it, it must be quality. But Japan has convenience store snacks just like anywhere else, and this one reads a lot closer to mass market filler than to a genuine import worth going out of your way for. When you're standing in a store surrounded by dozens of other packaged options at similar prices, spending your money on the one item that tastes artificial and thin is an unforced error. The fix here is easy. Grab literally anything else within arm's reach. Number 11, freeze-dried astronaut ice cream at Mission Space's Cargo Bay gift shop. It's positioned as a fun, space-themed novelty, something tied directly to the ride you just walked off of, something kids will point at and remember. Here's what it actually is underneath the packaging. The exact same mass-produced product you can find through ordinary retailers without any theme park markup attached. No exclusive Disney packaging, no recipe difference, no quality upgrade hiding inside that pouch. You're paying extra purely for the convenience of grabbing it right now instead of finding the same thing anywhere else. Epcot food reviewers who cover this park closely and regularly explicitly recommend skipping this one. It's not that astronaut ice cream is some kind of disaster, it's that the chalky, non-melting texture never quite lives up to the novelty parents are chasing when their kid's face lights up near Mission Space, and the theme park markup on top of that just adds insult to an already middling snack. You're basically paying full price for a souvenir that happens to also be edible. Number 10, festival sake tastings at the Japan Pavilion booths. These position themselves as curated cultural experiences, something educational, a step above a standard festival drink. You're supposedly buying a small introduction to Japanese brewing tradition. Except reviewers across multiple festival cycles, independently of each other, keep describing the pour as small and the sake itself as tasting essentially like water. No rice character, no floral notes, nothing distinctive enough to remember 5 minutes later. When the dominant description of a sake tasting is that it doesn't taste like much of anything, the entire premise underneath the price tag collapses. What makes this stranger still is the contrast with the rest of the Japan Pavilion's drink program, which clearly has the sourcing relationships and standards to do a lot better elsewhere on the same patch of ground. These festival tastings feel deprioritized by comparison, like a box being checked rather than an experience anyone actually built with care, and they keep returning festival after festival despite the same feedback every time. Number 9, Kringla Bakeri, a Kafe in the Norway Pavilion. The bakery has been part of Epcot's World Showcase since the Norway Pavilion opened in 1988, and nearly 4 decades of built-up reputation still pull long lines here every single day, rain or shine. Guidebooks recommend it as a must-stop. For a lot of repeat guests, stopping at Kringla is tradition in its own right, part of the Epcot experience they remember fondly from a childhood trip, whether or not the product has actually kept pace. Here's the problem underneath all that goodwill. Recent reviews from Epcot food trackers who visit regularly specifically call the spot overrated, and side-by-side comparisons consistently point to Les Halles over in the France Pavilion as the stronger bakery option overall, fresher product, more consistent execution at broadly similar prices. This isn't a story about one bad visit on one off day. It's a pattern where the reputation and the current quality have quietly drifted apart from each other without anyone updating the guidebooks. Legacy does an enormous amount of heavy lifting here. People keep coming back because they remember it being good, not necessarily because it still is. Number 8. Mexico Pavilion Festival Margaritas. These have a problem that recurs so predictably it's basically become part of their identity. Reviewers across multiple festival cycles, independently of one another, keep reaching for the exact same word to describe the flavor. Medicinal. Not too sweet, not too strong. Medicinal, like something off a pharmacy shelf, rather than anything you'd order at a cocktail bar. What makes this particularly hard to excuse is the sheer proximity of better options. La Cava del Tequila sits inside the same pavilion, consistently rated as one of the best bars anywhere in Epcot. Choza de Margarita is right outside, serving straightforward, well-executed classics without any of the drama. Frontera Cocina over at Disney Springs keeps that same standard going under the same brand umbrella. All of them capable of making a margarita that actually tastes like a margarita is supposed to taste. When the pavilion has already proven, repeatedly, that it knows how to make this exact drink correctly just a few dozen feet away, the festival booth's failure stops feeling like bad luck and starts feeling like a choice nobody's bothered to correct. Number 7. Les Halles sandwiches in the France Pavilion. A basic sandwich here runs well over $10 with no side included whatsoever. Recent visitor reports describe the food as inconsistent, with greasy bread, tough croissants, and a noticeable quality slip that guests consistently connect to a sharp rise in foot traffic moving through the pavilion in recent years. More guests passing through doesn't automatically mean worse food on its own, but when prep workflows and staffing don't scale up to match rising demand, something in the operation tends to break, and right now, that something is the product hitting your table. The Boulangerie Patisserie name and the France Pavilion theming set an expectation of proper French bakery standards, crusty bread, flaky pastry, real care taken at every step. When the croissant arrives stale and you're picking grease off your fingers afterward, that's not just a disappointing snack. It's a genuine mismatch between what the setting is promising you and what's actually showing up on the plate. You're paying real, non-trivial prices for inconsistent quick service in a pavilion that's supposed to feel like a trip to Paris. Number 6. The Chile relleno taco at the Mexico Pavilion's Festival of the Arts booth. It sounds genuinely creative on paper, taking a classic stuffed pepper dish and reworking it into handheld taco form, the kind of idea that reads well on a menu board. The problem is that an interesting concept doesn't automatically translate into a good dish once it's actually assembled, and reviewers specifically flag this one as having nearly landed on the festival's official worst list for the year. Almost worst isn't a compliment, and it isn't a coincidence either. When coverage singles your dish out as nearly bad enough to name directly by title, that's a real warning sign, not some borderline judgment call. A proper Chile relleno works because of its structure: a whole roasted pepper, a melty cheese pull, crisp batter set against soft filling underneath. Break all of that apart into loose taco components, and you lose everything that made the original dish special, without gaining anything a good taco actually needs to work on its own terms. Mexico Pavilion has other, better options just steps away that consistently deliver. When the better choice is 50 feet in either direction, the skip decision more or less makes itself. Number 5. Italy Pavilion's Festival Pasta Salad, a chilled penne dish built around apple and raisin that has earned a reputation for repeating the exact same disappointment at every single festival cycle it appears in. This isn't a story about one bad kitchen day or a single off batch. It's a dish that keeps returning to the menu rotation year after year, despite the same complaints carrying forward each time, almost like nobody's actually reading the feedback before reprinting the menu. The apple, raisin, and pasta combination never fully commits to being either a fruit salad or a savory dish, landing instead in an uncomfortable middle ground that ultimately satisfies neither craving. Italy Pavilion's permanent year-round restaurants maintain genuinely solid reputations of their own, which only makes the festival booth's recurring failure stand out even more sharply by comparison. When a dish draws the same specific complaint every single festival and still gets reprinted on the very next one anyway, that's not an oversight anymore. That's a decision prioritizing something other than whether guests actually enjoy eating what they paid for. Number 4. The Petite Crab Cake and Lobster Bisque at the France Pavilion's Festival of the Arts booth. At roughly $12 with tax included, it's priced like something genuinely special, and the components on paper sound refined enough to justify that. Real seafood, a French preparation style, a plate clearly built to photograph well. What reviewers actually report getting is a portion so small that it only earns an honorable mention rather than a genuine recommendation, decent quality as far as it goes, but nowhere near enough actual food to justify what you just handed over. At $12, you're not really buying a casual snack anymore. You're making something closer to a real dining decision, and the bar at that price point isn't "this tastes fine," it's "this is satisfying," or "this is memorable." A single small crab cake and a cup of bisque clears neither of those bars. France Pavilion sets a genuinely high standard elsewhere on property when it's firing on all cylinders. When the festival booth can't clear that same bar, the contrast only makes the shortfall sting more. Number 3. Cilantro Shrimp Ceviche at a Flower and Garden Festival booth. The menu promises a fully composed dish, shrimp, mango, avocado, citrus, and jalapeno all working together, exactly the kind of bright, balanced plate the festival's marketing photos make it look like on the signage. What actually lands in front of you is so thoroughly overpowered by cilantro that reviewers report tasting almost nothing else on the plate. Not the citrus, not the mango's sweetness, not even the jalapeno's heat managing to cut through underneath it. This isn't a matter of personal taste preference getting in the way of an otherwise solid dish. It's a ratio failure that turns what should be a multi-component dish into a single-note herb delivery system, and you end up paying for shrimp and avocado while genuinely only experiencing the cheapest ingredient sitting in the bowl. Ceviche, done properly, is supposed to be a careful study in balance between acid, sweetness, heat, and freshness working in concert. When one single ingredient wipes out every other flavor entirely, that's not a stylistic recipe choice anymore. It's a mistake that somehow made it onto the menu and has stayed there through multiple festivals since. Number 2. The Purple Wagyu Bun at the Japan Pavilion's Festival of the Arts booth, priced close to $11 before tax for a single palm-sized steamed bun. The festival marketing leans almost entirely on two things to justify that price: the Wagyu branding and the genuinely striking purple color. Here's what that actually breaks down to once you look closer. The bun's filling has shown up at Japan Pavilion festivals before, in other forms, under other names, and the color is really the only new element being used to justify putting it back on the menu one more time. You're paying a real premium for a beef filling that gets to use the word Wagyu without the menu ever clarifying what grade or percentage that word is actually referring to, and the paper wrapper sticking to the bun before you've taken your first bite doesn't exactly help the case for careful preparation. Festival of the Arts sets its expectations higher than Epcot's other festivals by design. The food here is supposed to feel genuinely elevated, worth the premium you're paying over a regular quick service snack. A recolored bun with a recurring filling underneath simply doesn't clear that bar, no matter how good it looks in a photo. And number 1, the Grand Marnier Orange Slush. Float at refreshment port, $5.50, and it has exactly one job to do: live up to the 2 words sitting right there in its own name. It fails at both of them. There's no frozen element anywhere in the cup, so it isn't a slush. There's no ice cream in sight, so it isn't a float either. What you actually get, every time, is bottled orange soda poured over plain ice with a shot of Grand Marnier mixed in. That's the entire drink, start to finish. The menu keeps using both words anyway, because those specific words are doing the actual selling. Float signals ice cream in most people's heads. Slush signals something genuinely frozen, and by the time you realize you're holding neither one, you've already paid and walked away with your drink in hand. Festival coverage doesn't soften this one at all. Multiple reviewers flatly call it a scam in exactly those words, and it isn't some one-time menu mistake either. This exact drink has been sold under this exact name, in this exact form, across multiple years running without anyone correcting course. A float is supposed to be 2 things coming together into something better than either on its own. This is one thing in a cup sitting under misleading words on a menu board, coasting entirely on the fact that most guests won't bother complaining after they've already handed over their money. None of this means Epcot's food is bad across the board, and the park's reputation is genuinely earned most of the time, and there are dozens of items on property that fully justify the wait and the price. The pattern running through all 12 of these is narrower than a blanket complaint about theme park food. Pavilion theming, festival hype, and old inherited reputation keep getting used to justify prices that the actual food or portion in front of you doesn't back up once you look closely. Skipping a hyped item isn't missing out on anything real. It's spending your snack budget on something that's actually going to deliver. So, here's what I want to know. Which of these 12 have personally burned you? And what did you get instead that was actually worth it? Drop it in the comments. I want the specifics, not just the name. And if this helped you plan a smarter snack budget for your next trip, hit subscribe. Because next up, we're taking the same hard look at the table service restaurants that used to be must-book reservations and quietly aren't anymore.